Imagine spending so much to process and get a visa. All the planning, eventually you spent more money purchasing a to and fro flight ticket after you were granted a visitor visa. Imagine landing in Canada and at the port of entry, you are refused entry. And in many cases, people were not so fortunate. After they were refused, they had to be deported back to their countries. This was the story of so many people who went to Canada and were refused entry, even though many of them were told that this thing was happening right there. Many people spent money acquiring visas but failed to do their homework. Penny wise, pound foolish, you might want to say. These few months, beside the deportation that has been happening in Canada, the deportation has been a mess. A lot of people have been deported these past few weeks right there in Canada. But trust me, you hardly see these things in the news. But for someone like me, I get to know about these things. One, when people I have right there in Canada are telling me what is happening. When I see things on the news, on the internet, and when people who are falling victim to this reach out to me, they tend to share their experience. And trust me, it is not something I wish upon anybody. But in my own humble opinion, a lot of this deportation could have been avoided. Now, imagine a situation where somebody goes to Canada to seek asylum. This person is asked at the airport, why are you visiting Canada? I'm visiting Canada to seek asylum, they say. Now, why is it Canada for you to come and seek asylum? And why are you coming to Canada to seek asylum? Why is it that you choose to come and seek asylum in Canada? What is that thing that is happening to you in your country that made you run to Canada for asylum? In some cases, these people don't even know what asylum means. When I started doing this content last year, I shared a lot of stories with many of you, and a lot of you thought it was a joke until people, many of you knew, started falling victim right there at the port of entry. My name is Nusa Comedy. Welcome to my channel. Do well to subscribe to this channel if you have not yet done so, and give this video a big thumbs up so that YouTube can recommend this video to others who might be interested. A lot of people have been deported these past few weeks right there in Canada. And also, let us not forget that the temporary policy that was put in place to allow visitor visa holders to come to Canada, search for jobs, apply for jobs, and if given that job, they could apply for a work permit right there in Canada without them having to leave the country. That policy is no more, as it has been terminated effective immediately. So a lot of visitor visa holders outside Canada are currently in limbo. They don't even know what next. But I have told many of them across my social media platforms to be calm. There are many things you can do with a VV, like I call it, which is a visitor visa. Also, for those who might not know, not too long ago, very recent here, a few days ago, some Canadian citizens protested in Canada. They were protesting against the immigration policies that gave rise to visitor visa holders, student visa holders, and other visa holders to come to Canada. They were protesting, saying that foreigners are beginning to take their jobs. And right now, a lot of people right there in Canada are finding it difficult to even pay rent, because I reported here not too long ago that there is currently housing crisis right there in Canada. Buying a house has become so pricey. Acquiring apartments for rents has also become so pricey. And they are saying it is because they have a lot of people who came in with these temporary visas that gave rise to the prices of housing that have skyrocketed over time. So now Canada have announced earlier this year that they want to reduce the number of temporary residents right there in their country. And by so doing, they canceled that policy, and also they tightened the immigration policy around the student visa, around the visitor visa. So now they are now seeing people being told to leave Canada after they failed the asylum cases. These past few weeks, a lot of people have left Canada after the asylum cases were rejected, and majority of these people attempted to appeal, but they still failed. Many of them have started leaving, and Canada on its own has been deporting a lot of people, especially those who came with a visitor visa to Canada with the hope of conversion, so to speak. And also, let us not forget that the Canadian election is just around the corner, and the incumbent government right there is doing everything possible to please the citizens who are not very, very happy with the government for the way they have allowed foreigners to come into Canada. And they are complaining that many of them used to have jobs, but currently a lot of these foreigners are coming to their country to provide cheap labor, to the extent that Canadian citizens are no longer considered when it comes to giving jobs. So now they protested and say it is all over with this government. So the government is trying to please these people right there to make them feel like, okay, we're on your side. Don't worry, this policy, we are going to scrap it, and they have scrapped it. Now, it is also very, very funny that a lot of people also got deported because, let's assume you are going to Saskatchewan. That is where your conference is. That was what you told them in your visa application before you were granted that visa. I'm just giving you an example. Now, what people landed in Quebec, people were landing in other provinces different from the provinces they were supposed to land and do whatever they wanted to do. So, in many cases, the immigration officers right in Canada were asking visitors, why is it that you are coming to British Columbia when you said in your visa application that your conference is in Quebec? Because don't forget that a lot of people realize that the airports were different when it comes to how well or how much questions were being asked. So, to my research, some certain airports, there were not too many questions. Why? At some airports, trust me, it's like WAEC. It's like you're writing JAMB. So a lot of people tend to avoid those airports, even though that is the province. They are doing whatever they are doing for sightseeing, visit, vacation, attending a conference, but many of them decided to use other provinces to land and eventually went by road. to wherever they were going. So people were using this format to bypass some airports where too many questions are being asked. Because there are some airports right there in Canada that had high percentage of deportation of visitor visa holders. So people tend to avoid those type of airports. Now, I said earlier that there were cases where people went to Canada and were unable to even properly put themselves together. Because I have clearly stated also before now that confidence is key. And it is so painful and shameful that a lot of people spent money getting visas and could not do research as to what may happen when they land at these various airports right there in Canada. A lot of people believe that because they already had the visas, wherever they decide to go in Canada, they must enter. That was not the case. Now, one other thing that is a very big challenge to many people right there in Canada is that they went to Canada for asylum. When they landed at the airport, they gave a story. But after they took them to court, present them before a judge, they were no longer correlation with the stories they were now saying in court versus the story they once said when they landed at the airport. I have also said it before that when there is no consistency in your asylum story, the end is not good. In many cases, you will lose that case. And when you lose that case, you are asked to leave Canada. So it is very, very important before applying for that visa, during the process of applying for that visa, after you have been granted that visa, it is very, very important to do a proper research to know what awaits you in that very country you are going, not just Canada. Because many of our people are believing so much on, I have the visa. All I need to do is to just go to that country and I have a smooth sail. No, it is not like that. Even after this policy that is just changed, people are still being deported right there in Canada. A lot of people have reached out to me telling me that they have been deported this past 1 week. That policy that that Canada just scrapped was about a week ago. That was like on the 26th. From 26th till now, people have been deported in Canada. Because many of our people, or not just of our people, many people believe that, oh, now that they have scrapped this thing, they will no longer be asking questions like they used to. That is not true. If you are going there, please prepare yourself and don't be desperate to just go to Canada. If you have paid for your flight ticket and the intention was for you to go there to look for work, please plan well. If you have people right there in Canada, call them, liaise with them. Don't be in a hurry to just go to this Canada. Calm down. Many of you are going there without proper planning. Imagine after spending almost or over 2 million naira or CFA to purchase flight ticket, and you are landing in Canada because you did not prepare yourself. At the port of entry, they are asking you to go back. Just imagine, after the time you have spent, money spent on getting that visa, at the end of the day, they are turning you back at the port of entry. That does not make sense. So that is why I'm here to tell you, please, don't be too desperate. Calm down. If you have that visa already, hold on to that visa. The ground will soon settle. The dust will soon settle. When the dust settles, it is just because Canada is so rowdy right now. A lot of people are there. They are still finding it difficult to get jobs. In the next 1, 2, 3 years, things will calm down. So this is what is happening right there in Canada. It is not really good. Seeing people putting in the effort and at the end of the day, they are being deported. Just imagine the last 3 months. Thousands of people have been deported at the port of entry. But when you come here to say these things, people just take it for granted. They believe, oh, the different grace everybody carry. Your name na Grace, go. Even people that they call Grace, go Canada, they still deport them. So it is very, very important for you to plan. Stay glued to this channel because I will be bringing back-to-back updates from Canada and from other countries. Please do well to share the link to this video to other people so that they can know what is happening right there. If you are buying your flight ticket tomorrow to go to Canada to go and convert your visa, abort mission. Over, abort, over. Yes, so calm down. When things start settling, we will come here to drop some update on how you can navigate things. And for those of you who are skeptical about whether to apply or not, in my own opinion, I'm not the one who owns your money. I would advise, if you have what it takes to apply for that Canada VV, for the Canada visa, the visitor visa, do well to apply. But make sure you are using a passport, if possible, that has a 10-year validity. If you are from Nigeria, if you are using 5 years, fine. But the reason why I believe people should use the one with the 10 years passport is that at least, even if it takes Canada 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years to settle before things will change for the better again, you still know that your visa is still valid. Imagine with this policy now, people who have 1 year visa, who have 6 months left, what are those people going to do? Because obviously you need time for things to settle. So this is just basically what it is. Just take your time. Don't be in a hurry. And I will be bringing you updates back to back on how to navigate this route. So this is what this content is all about. And it is always nice coming here to give you guys updates. And I will keep the updates coming. So thank you very much, guys. And I will be dropping another banger shortly. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.